The project is, we're running it as a field course in anthropology, so it's Anthropology 195, field methods and field course in anthropological methods, and it's basically an archaeological field school. So for undergraduate students who want to pursue a career in archaeology, it's part of that pathway is to take an archaeological field school where they actually participate on an archaeological dig. Archaeological field schools are one of the key components of training for undergraduates who are interested in archaeology, and it's an opportunity for them to learn field methods. So if they go on to graduate school or if they go to work in industry and kind of cultural resource management, they'll have the skills that they need to be able to do the job. So they're basically learning how to excavate, learning how to process materials, and some of the other different kinds of analyses that we do. And it's also a great opportunity for the students to see if they like archaeology. So a lot of people, might like to take an archaeology class because it's interesting and read about it in books, but it's definitely a different kind of experience to actually be out here and working 8 hours a day in the hot sun, and it's very physical. So I think the students get a glimpse of that, and then they can decide whether or not it's something they want to pursue. The way archaeology happens on our campus is typically in advance of construction, and so as anyone who's been to the Santa Clara campus over the last 10 years, you can see we've put up a lot of buildings, considerable amount of buildings, and that's going to continue into the future. And so each time that they start the planning process for constructing a new building, they have to take into account what's underneath it. And we have a very rich campus archaeologically. I spent a good deal of time trying to think of where exactly could we have a field school like this where we could train students in archaeological techniques and methods. And so a site like this worked out really well because we went down through several distinct layers of occupation. We found things from the 1980s. We found things from the backyards of people who lived here at the turn of the century, like dolls and marbles and bottles and things like that, and then down into the mission era. So it was really fascinating to kind of, as we slowly dug down into the ground, to see all these changes in the artifacts. So where these students are digging is kind of the interior space of one of the rooms that we delineated in this Adobe structure. And the reason there's a giant hole in the middle of where they're excavating is this was an intrusive pit that somebody dug. We think based on the artifacts that were in it, probably in the 1980s or early 1990s. We found a Pepsi bottle and some beer cans, among other interesting things. And so we're not exactly sure if somebody was trying to, collect artifacts from the site, or if this was just a trash pit. But at any rate, they dug a very deep hole into this room. And so we're trying to work down around it to see if there's anything still intact there, because it's inside these rooms where we've been finding a lot of interesting artifacts. It's just kind of one glimpse into it, and it's interesting because these are the things that people threw away, they didn't think to document. So it has a certain benefit or value in terms of trying to figure out what was going on, because these are kind of subconscious things that people were doing. But on the other hand, you also have, like you're saying, all sorts of artwork, even the music that the missionaries taught to the Indians is a great glimpse into how this kind of meeting of two different worlds occurred.